The greatest injustice you can do to yourself as a man is to settle with a woman just because of some pounds of flesh behind and some ugly boobs or a body shape. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Justin Michael, aka Advocates for Men. Welcome to my platform. This is a space dedicated, to raising a generation of men who are equipped with a deep sense of purpose, with the enablement of becoming great men, husbands, and fathers. So today, I'll be telling you, and I'll be giving you tips, as qualities you need to look out for before you marry her. Qualities you need to look out for before you marry her. So let me start by saying that a lot of times we settle for people based on what we think and what we feel, but not necessarily based on what is real. And so there are things that you really need to consider. There are qualities. So when we talk about qualities, we are talking about things they possess, values they possess that you have to watch out for. If they have them, you can settle. If they don't, you have to opt out. And so the first thing you have to look out for is transparency. Transparency is so important. You see, because at the end of the day, you don't want to marry somebody that is not transparent with you, that is not honest with you, that is not true to you. And so she has to be transparent about everything, about her life, about her past, about her present, and about her future. And so you cannot talk about transparency in emotions and not talk about transparency in finance. And you cannot talk about transparency in finance and leave out transparency in maybe sexual life. She has to be transparent to you. Some of the times, ladies will shy away from telling you about what their past was like, how many body counts they've had, if they had any. They might tell you, I've dated before, but please be transparent enough to tell me, who did you date? How did it go? What happened? I don't need too much of that information, if you know what I mean. I don't need to tell me, I had sex with this person and it went this way. If you had sex with the person, you have to say it. I was intimate with this person so number of, a couple of times, or we've dated for like 2 years or 3 years and we were intimate. You don't have to tell me it was 42 times or 107 times. But the transparency that is needed here is in telling me the truth, what really happened, your past. Your past is so important to me, even more than what your future looks like. So I should be able to understand what your past looks like so that I can be able to, understand where you're coming from and how to help you, alongside. So that's number one, transparency. She has to be able to tell you everything. Everything. I mean everything. And be comfortable with you, saying everything. And again, for you to, before you can even ask for transparency, you should be willing, and be receptive enough for anything she's going to say. Whether it's going to hurt you, whether it's going to, terminate the relationship, but it's okay. Knowing is important, so that you can be able to build a good foundation for one another. So transparency is number one. Number two is a SOULICAL content. This is very important. It's very important because who we are is not what we do. And who we are is not just embedded in our expressions alone, but in our formation. And so your innate being is what is important. You see, we Christians call it your spirit man. And so your SOULICAL content, which is your spirit man, is way more important. Some people, they will have bad soulical content, they will have bad spirits, but they have a good casing. They can do good things, but they're actually not good people on the inside. And so, how do you know that? Number one, time is a revealer of truth. With time and with patience and with intentional observation, you will know. So, our soulical content is important, because what you're marrying, in fact, marriage itself is not a union between flesh and flesh. It's actually a union between spirit and spirit. It's a union between the person of this particular human being, who she is, everything that makes up who she is, from the abstract to the concrete, merging with you. And so if you don't know what a soulical content is, then you should not go ahead and marry her. The number 3 thing is a strength of character. So the Bible says it this way, that a man would rather go to the rooftop and lay his bed there and rest than to stay in the same house with a contentious woman. What does that suggest to you? It means that a strength of character is important also. How does she think? How does she respond to things? How does she behave? Because you see, some people react to things differently. Does she have anger issue? We really need to know. What is her emotional intelligence like? You have to know. Is she more emotional than logical? You have to know. Does she know how to contain her emotions in the presence of sensitive conversations and sensitive decisions? You have to know her strength of character. How is she able to handle crisis? How is she able to handle pain? How is she able to handle rejection? How is she able to handle discouragement? How is she able to handle failure? Because all of those things will happen, whether we like it or not. In one way or the other, we'll face rejection, we'll fail, we'll be faced with pressure. So you really need to know how our strength of character is. So in talking about strength of character, you need to look out for integrity. Is she a person of integrity? Is she a person of, does she have great values, that makes up who she is? What is her set of rules? What are the rules that guide her life? What are the principles that she works with? You really need to know those things so that there won't be conflict. Because if the set of principles that she works with, if a set of values that she works with, if her mindset is not the same as yours, there's no way both of you can come together to say you want to marry. All right. The number 4 is a social orientation. You see, we have so many people. Number 1, we have to understand their personality type. You have the sanguine, who are all going out people, all social people. You have the melancholy, the detailed people, the ones that wants to know the in total of everything. They want to have every information. They are the FBI, of all personalities. They are not always very social, but at the same time they can, merge with anything. They can walk around anything. So they're a bit social, but if they have dual personality, for example, if they are more sanguine than being male, then they are all social people. If they are more male than sanguine, then they don't really like going out, but you can still go out. They don't like mingling with people, they can mingle with people. So you have to understand that social orientation. Is she somebody that knows how to relate with people? Is she somebody that knows how to, carry people along? Does she have family qualities or orientation? You should be able to know what a social life or social orientation looks like, so that you won't be this all outgoing person and she's this, and strictly indoor person. So when you need to go for functions and you need her to go with you, you have to beg, you will have to excite her, you will have to encourage her, you will have to do a lot of things before she can go dress up and say, okay, let's go out. So you need to know what her social orientation looks like. That's number 4. Number 5 is aura. If you would ask me, I think this should be the most important. This should be the most important because, we talk about luck, we talk about people having positive vibes, we talk about people having good energy. So all these things are embedded in our aura. Some people don't have good aura. So in Yoruba culture, they call people that doesn't have good aura or negative energy LSLC. That is people left-legged people. It means that they don't have good luck. They don't have good vibes. And so in Yoruba culture, it's very important for them to look out for that. And I think the first thing they do when they go to inquire about a person or about a lady is, does she have a good leg? Does she have good luck? If she marries our son, will things work well? Will things move fast? Would there be propensity? Would there be quantum leap? Would there be acceleration? And so they look out for these things and they really inquire. In fact, when you go to, for example, an Ifa priest to inquire about a woman, the first thing they do is to know what her aura is. So if she has a great aura, good to go. The boomers understand these things, that the first thing you look out for. That's why they tell you every time, don't go for looks, don't look for this, go for her person. If she has good luck, if her head is good, you need to know all these things. Aura is so important. I cannot overemphasize that. And how do you know she has good aura? Number 1, watch out for the events, that happens in your life since she came in. She came into your life. You have to know what has happened, why those things happen. You don't necessarily have to tell her, do you know you have good aura? Do you know? So you can, if you're comfortable with that, and if you know she can handle, that information. Because sometimes when you tell ladies that, okay, I sense that you have a good aura, this and this has happened since you came, they begin to feel pompous and feel over important, and they begin to have this sense of entitlement over your life, and they say, if not because of me, will you be able to buy that car? If not because of me, or since I came into your life, I know this. When we met, this was how your life was. You that cannot eat today, you have money. You have heard things like that, But again, you should not shy away from that reality. But if she can undo it, why? You can tell her, but you have to watch out for it, which is the most important of, things you need to look out for as qualities in a woman. The last thing I want to talk to you about is family orientation. Every time, I know people might have a different opinion about this, but if you think about it, it's true. Ask questions about family. Does she like children? Does she want children? So if you want kids, you have to know. There are people that want kids, they like it, but they cannot have kids. Probably because they are barren, maybe they have health issues, maybe because, basically because of those two things. Barrenness, health issue, delay and all of those things. So what if, because what you can promise yourself or yourselves is both of you. So whatever comes out of that relationship is a fruit of that relationship. And so it's not compulsory that you give birth. And so you have to talk about if it's a necessity or if it is compulsory for this person to have children. So some people will say, I need 4 kids, I need 5 kids, I will have to have 3 kids. We have to talk about, some people say 1 is enough, 2 is too much, 3 is too much responsibility. So you have to be able to talk about that. So if a family orientation matches with yours, and these are ways that this person will like it. Number one, if she talks about kids a lot, you will know. So what happens if you cannot give out children? Will you have to go and settle for surrogacy, or she'll have to leave you and go and marry another person? Because the truth of the matter is, if it is what she really wants, you will not be able to rest until you provide that thing for her. And so at the end of the day, you will settle for surrogacy, or you find alternative means. Same goes to the man. For women most times will not want to go out, although we've seen that play out in DNA tests, where they know the man cannot perform or cannot give birth, cannot give a child, but they went to another man to give them that child, and this old man is the one taking the responsibility unknowingly. And so you have to be able to look out for, all of that. So another thing I want to point to you is, you need to know a family background. What a family background looks like, how many they are in their family. Is a mom and a dad, stay together? Are they separated? Are they divorced? And you have to know why, because all these things will play out, in forming, how she views family. And so you should be able to understand where she's coming from, what she has seen, the model she has, and how she's been able to work on that experience if there are things that, she really needs to work on. If she does not have the privilege of having a very fantastic family, you have to ask, okay, what have you been able to do? What do you want to do differently? Then are there things she suffered, in her family, and she will not want that to repeat itself? So you should be able to talk about that and know what it is exactly. Then you can tackle that. But if all of these things does not align with what your definition of family orientation looks like, you have to opt out. So again, it's not a do or die affair. All that is needed is look out for what you want, the qualities, you need a woman to possess. If she has them, you can go ahead and marry her, And the last thing on the list is finances. I know a lot of people will contend with the issue with finances. So the question is, should a man provide, or should a woman provide? Should a man be the sole provider, or can a woman support? Is your money our money, and my money my money? You have to be able to know what our ideology about that is. If she's not, if she does not have that kind of understanding, that once I'm saying I'm married to this person, it means that our finances is our finances regardless. It means that you don't necessarily have to have joint accounts. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to put all your finances in one account, but that she's responsible financially the same way you're responsible financially. If she's able to raise you when you are down financially, if she can cover you up when you don't have financially, if she can pay the children's school fees without, saying I borrow you, as if the child you gave birth to is not a child also. So you have to look out for that. And I think that's a major challenge that people are really dealing with, knowing a financial orientation. And so you have to know, and if you are comfortable, with an idea about finances, well, go ahead. But if you're not, you have to talk about it, let her see it from your own point of view. If it's something she can, agree to and, change, she will. But if not, some people just believe that I cannot spend my money for any man. She should spend on me. She's that kind of person, what will you do? You have to move on. You have to make her understand that as good as you are, I think this part of you um, needed to really be dealt with. And because I think you are fixed, in this particular idea, I'm not sure I'll be able to move forward. Because what happens if this and this happen? You see, you have to just explain to her and make her see things from your perspective. I think that will help, in selecting for you what kind of a woman you really need to marry. Thank you. So I would like to hear from you. Let me know what you think about this video. And if you have comments, suggestions, drop them in the comment section. I'll be glad to respond to you within the shortest time possible. Thank you.